Okay, we're finally moved in. We're finally in here, in our home, hopefully.
And if you can hear the echo, it's because it's still cavernous. We don't have a lot of furniture.
And it took a little longer than expected for us to move in, but we got the place and we are so relieved.
We arrived here New Year's Eve, and little did we know that they have a holiday until January 6th or 7th for Three Kings. So all of the realtors that we contacted were out on vacation. So we didn't get to meet anybody, or we didn't even get to talk to anybody until after the 6th.
So we had to relax first, compose ourselves.
Get to know the neighborhood that we were in. We stayed in El Carmen, which was very pretty. It's old town, so we were right by the Torre de Quart, which is very pretty, and close to Mercat Central and all of the touristy things that you see on YouTube or Instagram. So it was very nice.
And we were ready to pounce. Like as soon as we got here to Valencia, we were ready to pounce. But it turns out we just had to take our time.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of like rushed into a little bit of things. So we've learned a lot. And fortunately for you, this video is about our apartment hunting and the lessons we've learned and the tips we might have for you guys.
Initially, we stayed in our Airbnb for a month, hoping that we could find a place within that month and register our padron and our residency with the extranjeria. But unfortunately, that didn't happen right on time. We applied for a few apartments, but they didn't accept us because of things that they needed from us. But before we go into that, so we wanted to kind of give you an idea, like in general, apartments in Valencia have a lot of the same comforts that we had in the United States. It has hot water for most of the apartments here, if not all of them. Most will have heating.
Windows and doors.
No, like a washing machine, a dishwasher, a stove, a fridge will be included in the apartment. The other things vary. For example, some will be furnished, but some of the furniture could be old or it could be very generic IKEA stuff. If you're into that, that's fine. We have a lot of IKEA stuff here too.
Not a lot of apartments have dryers.
Oh, most of them will not. I think we only saw one that had a washer and a dryer. Most of them will just have a washing machine. Some of them will not have air conditioning, which might not be good if you don't like the heat. I heard it could get really, really warm.
Some didn't have fridges too.
Some of them don't have appliances at all. So it wasn't just that it wasn't furnished, but they didn't have any appliances. So I wasn't gonna buy a fridge and a washing machine and a stove and all that. So those were out. Like we saw them and then we found out they didn't have any of those things. Like, nope, we're not doing that. Some of them don't have very good insulation. So some of them have windows from decades ago. So it could get loud or the heat could come in or the cold could come in. So
Noise could come in too, especially for Fallas. In March, there's a festival called Fallas and
it gets loud.
It's March right now and they're setting up these firecrackers almost the entire day.
Yeah. This is what is this? We're filming March 16th, 17th?
17th.
So we're day 2, 3.
3.
3 of Fallas. And it's been loud. Even at night. Even at
while we're asleep. Well, now that Fallas is actually starting, there's fireworks every midnight. So if you're a light sleeper, try to sleep after midnight.
Most apartments will have more than one floor. So will they have elevators or not? If that's important to you, it was important for us.
Especially having a dog. Fifi, we use a stroller for Fifi because she's old, but I think more than anything she's lazy, so she'd rather be in a stroller.
She can't handle stairs too,
Yeah.
so it was important for us to have an apartment with stairs. or if we could find an apartment that was only one floor up, then it was fine. But if, like here, similarly, we are on the fourth floor, so that's 5 flights of stairs. So no way. Even I'm not doing that.
Yeah, and she's a little heavy, so
Me?
not her, the dog. The dog is on the heavy side.
Better watch yourself. That's the apartments in general in Spain from what we have seen. So we mainly used Idealista to look at all of the apartments within Valencia. Our must-haves were had to have 2 bathrooms, had to accept pets, had to have an elevator, has to have a balcony or terrace, and close to the Rio Turia, because at that time we had Fifi, so we wanted to make sure that she could bring her to the park every day because there's no outdoor space.
Yeah, so for the longest time, we've been checking the pets allowed box, and so it was filtering instead of seeing like 1,000
Hundreds.
homes. They're just showing like a few.
So our point is, for Idealista, don't put a lot of filters on it. Even if you have a dog, don't look for apartments that permit dogs. The only thing I put as filter was it needed to have 2 bathrooms. That was the only thing that we really didn't want to compromise on. Whenever we called the realtor or the landlady, we just asked them outright, do you accept dogs? And most of them will say yes, even though it didn't list it. Or most of them will have a balcony, even though it's not listed. So don't filter too much, and you'll see a lot more apartments that way.
So when you see a listing, you should call first before emailing. Whenever I try to do the chat thing on Idealista, it says this business might not have a chat feature, blah blah blah. So you should email them. So I tried to call them first, and they responded faster.
Most of them will pick up or will transfer to WhatsApp, which was easier. Then we could use some translations. But be prepared to learn a few phrases. Typically, it's just ¿Está piso disponible? Is the apartment available? Se admite mascota? Do you accept dogs? And then we talk about our dog, tiene 12 años, está muy amable, very sweet and, very quiet dog. And most of them will say, yeah, sure, okay, we'll do that. When can we go see? And most of the time we were available even that day. We would ask them, are you available right now in 30 minutes? And same with this apartment, we were available in 30 minutes to go see it.
And you'll see in the description of the flat that if they accept pets or not. And usually if they don't accept pets, they'll say...
They will say.
They'll say
they
they
don't accept pets.
Yeah.
If it's not listed, you can ask them. Okay, so now the fun part.
Now the tricky part.
So if we had a Spanish pay stub, we would have found our place in about a week or 2 max. We applied to 2 apartments that we liked. The second one I really, really loved. It was overlooking the River Turia. But both of them did not accept us, even if we showed our savings, because we didn't have enough roots. Even though we uprooted ourselves from the United States, but we didn't have enough roots for them, proof that we can pay. So back to the old drawing board. It was tough because we had our heart set on that already, right? And the third one that we applied to was more, I think, out of desperation of our Airbnb is up and I'm looking at Airbnbs for another month and now it's $2,000 and that's too much money. So we applied for the third one, but then they took a long time getting back to us, which was actually suddenly a good thing,
a blessing,
right?
Yeah.
Because when we were going through the pictures again, because this was the second apartment that we saw. So this was almost a month ago and it was still available. So we were looking at the pictures and then we noticed there's no oven. So it was just 2 small, almost hot plates but it's an induction stove, but there's no oven, and it had like the smallest living room out of all of the apartments that we saw. So it was great that they didn't get back to us right away. And then we found this apartment right here, which we had a very good realtor who told us, if you really want it, here's the reservation, pay the reservation fee, sign everything, blah, blah, blah. So out of everything, I think we got the furthest with him out of the 15 apartments
Right.
that we saw.
Yeah, I like the fact that he had a reservation fee, so which means that whoever is inquiring about the apartment, they can't entertain anymore until we
either get approved or denied.
Yeah.
And if we get denied, they give us back our reservation fee.
So that saved us. And having that reservation fee felt like they will fight for us because we're the clients.
Right.
So that's kind of like a guarantee that at least they're going to try to convince the landlords.
Yeah, like really present a very good case. Because we told him about what's happened in the past few weeks.
So the next thing is we had a list of our must-haves individually. So and then we combined that, and then that's how we looked for the apartments.
So we saw 15 apartments in person. Some of them were furnished, some of them were unfurnished. At first, we were looking for furnished apartments because, of course, that would be cheaper. And then I was willing to compromise just having one bathroom, but he wasn't.
I like being married, and for the sake of our marriage, separate bathrooms is the key.
There were a few other compromises. We didn't end up near the Rio Turia. That was out. But then we didn't even know because Rosafa, from our Airbnb, Rosafa was 30 minutes away by walking. So we rarely go here. So we didn't know the neighborhood. But it's actually close to Park Central, which is a very nice park that they just opened up last year. So we actually took Fifi there too. So that was a nice surprise. Like, we actually have a nice park that's walkable too. And we learned a little bit more about Rosapa afterwards.
We didn't get the terrace.
Oh yeah, we wanted like a nice big terrace. We have a small balcony, which is fine too, and a rear balcony, but that doesn't have like a nice view or anything. Maybe we'll put some furniture there when it gets warmer. Right now it's too cold to do anything anyway. The budget, we definitely went over what we thought we wanted to spend because of a lot of things. I think the housing market, I guess, is a little bit more expensive now than they were when we were looking a year ago.
And we've been reading up on in groups that the pricing that has gone up dramatically. I think it's because of the influx of people coming in, but also the one thing I've noticed from the Facebook groups is whenever people are looking for apartments, they post the price, their budget. And the locals, they don't
like that.
They don't like that. They say that don't post your budget because it's going to
Drive up the price.
of the market, and then the locals, the actual locals, won't be able to afford the living in a particular city. So when you're here and you're looking for an apartment, try not to post your budget. Just post like, I need a 2 bedroom, 2 bath, and in this area, but try not to post the price, because it's not good for the market.
And I think it really just varies greatly in terms of pricing. We saw some apartments at 750 euros that had 3 bed, 2 bathrooms. It was like the second or third floor, but it felt like we were in the basement. It
Oh yeah.
it felt really weird in there. And then
And it was in a good neighborhood. It's not like it's in a bad neighborhood.
yeah, so I do see the difference, not just in price but in the quality of the homes. But there were a few gems that if we didn't get accepted to this apartment, if our offer wasn't accepted, we would have moved to this one place that was owned by two ladies, two sisters. They were very nice, and because we didn't have to go through an agent, they were very understanding of our situation, and they would have said yes. They actually accepted us, but our offer was accepted here first, and we already put the reservation
Like a day before.
yeah, a day before we met them. So it turned out okay. It was nice to actually feel wanted after so many rejections.
They really liked us, and they spoke English, so it was easier for us to convey what we wanted to say. And I felt like it was a perfect match.
Yeah.
But we got approved here first, which is great too, because I love this place.
But either one would have worked for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and they were a little bit different in pricing. That one was 3 bed, 2 bath furnished, and this one is 2 bed, 2 bath unfurnished. So in terms of pricing, it was just a little bit different. But either way would have worked, right? Like we would have been happy with either one, right?
I think so,
Yeah.
because the neighborhoods are great. That's the most important thing for me.
So because our apartment came unfurnished, we had to buy a lot of the stuff brand new, and we had to have them delivered. Most of the stores would deliver for free. So our mattress was delivered for free by Max Colchon, and our TV was delivered for free by El Corte Inglés. That was great. IKEA was the only one who charged a delivery fee, but we did order most of the stuff from them because we didn't have a car, so not gonna fit in a cab. So those worked out. And we did wait for the dining table because we weren't in love with the IKEA dining tables. I do recommend trying to look at Facebook Marketplace. A lot of people who live here are similar to us. They are immigrants, and they will stay here for a year and then move somewhere else. So they are selling a lot of their things. So we bought a lot of our kitchen stuff, like pots, pans, the spatula and the whisk and all that.
Patio
furniture, this rug, this estante right here, the plant right there. So those are things that we bought off of Facebook Marketplace little by little, and most of them we had to walk over to where they lived. One lady lived on the 3rd floor, so we had to go up 4 flights of stairs because she didn't have an elevator. We went to her twice too because I love a lot of her stuff. So I got plants and stuff from her, and then we would just hire a cab going back home.
Fortunately, getting a cab here is really cheap and fast. Just download the Free Now app or the Cabify app. I'll put the link in the description. The extra large taxi, the extra large cab is the same price as the normal cab.
Yeah, so the van. So we were able to fit this into a van cab, like a 6-seater or 7-seater van, and then also had like a full-length mirror. Right.
Yeah.
If you're first moving to Valencia and you kind of want to know which area you want to live in, we suggest getting an Airbnb in that area. For us, we really had no idea. I just picked El Carmen because at that time it had great reviews and all that, but we really did like El Carmen, and originally we were looking at apartments at El Carmen. When we expanded the search, on Idealista, that's when we saw a lot more apartments, right?
Right.
That
And we started walking around, so we found out all of these
cool spots.
cool spots, really cool places. Do you think the people should do Airbnb a few days or maybe a minimum of a week?
Well, it's cheaper to get them for a month. We were able to get 50% off because we booked for 28 days or for a month. So that should be fine. We walked everywhere to almost all of the appointments that we had, and that alone was enough for us to kind of get to know, is it clean? Are the streets clean? Is it quiet? And then we would go back at night if we like an apartment. Let's go look at it at night and see how quiet or how busy and how messy it is.
Yeah, and so far all of the areas are great. It's just a matter of the distance from the center or the distance from wherever you want to hang out at. But everything's walkable. Everything is safe at night. There's a few, not a lot of dark areas in the city, so everything's well lit. Everything's clean. Just when you're walking at night, just try to look down for every once in a while because you might step on dog poop. But other than that, it's really safe.
Most properties are going to be represented by an agent. All of the stuff that are listed, most of the stuff that are listed on Idealista will be through an agent, and you'll get to talk to them. You will be lucky where you will talk to a particular, which is the landlady or landlord themselves. So you don't have to talk to an agent. One thing I noticed is that most of them won't list their phone number. All you do is message them. And they would say they're a particular, no agents. Agents shouldn't be calling them. So that's how we found the two ladies. So if you're and honestly, I feel like we would have had an easier time if we just searched just for particulares, although there's not a lot of them. But we would have been approved very quickly. We saw two particulares. Two apartments that were owned directly by landlords, and both of them liked us. They understood what we were going through, and they understood, like, here's our savings, and this is why we're here, and we have a good relationship with our landlady back in California. I would suggest doing that if you can, and if you like the place. The first one that we saw was a little above our budget, and it was too big for us. It really was just very too big. I don't think that our money would be well spent because we would have to furnish so much space.
Oh yeah, wait, that was the second one.
Living room.
Second. Oh, the first one with the particular. Yeah.
And then the second one was already furnished. Like I said, they accepted us, but at that point we had already also been accepted here, and we made a reservation fee here, so we didn't want to lose that money.
But overall, the experience with looking for the apartments was great because we got to explore the city while we were doing it. Our frustrations and our victories we celebrated on the road while walking, and it was fun.
So when we were having trouble with finding these apartments and we were venting our frustration to our friend Adele, he was saying, don't do something out of desperation. Like, don't act in desperation. If you get a hotel first. And that's actually what we did. We ended up staying in a hotel for 7 days. So he was saying, don't book something out of desperation. And we really were desperate because our Airbnb, the time with our Airbnb was coming to an end and we couldn't extend. And then I contacted the Airbnb and said, hey, can I extend? And they said no, but we have an apartment in Rosafa that you can rent for a month. And I said, sure. And then we found this place. So we're like, I don't need that apartment anymore. And then we just found out, this place doesn't have water. So you can't move in until there's water because it's uninhabitable. So I called back to see if the Rosafa apartment was available. And they said, no, not anymore. So we were like, oh no, what are we going to do? We checked in at a hotel for a week, which was right next to our apartment, which was great. So I think for us, the process was very frustrating because we could have found an apartment right away. We found two great apartments right away, and we applied for both and got denied for both. But there's a reason for that. Tenants here are very well protected. That's why landlords are very hesitant if you can't prove that you have the means. Even if you show bank accounts, they don't really care.
I wish we had someone to tell us this, like someone to show us like what to expect at least, because that would have made it easier for us. But yeah, I think just make sure when you go here, get an Airbnb for more than a month, and then immediately go into looking for apartments because it might take a longer time.
I think we just didn't know what we wanted.
That too.
Ultimately, no, I think like we saw a few that maybe, I don't know, maybe they could have accepted us, but we didn't like it as much as we thought. So that could be one thing. But it was frustrating because the ones that we did like very, very much wouldn't accept us no matter what we did. And we showed everything that we could, wrote letters, it showed the picture of our dog, our home, and even said, look how, pretty our home is. Like we took good care of it. We're not messy. None of that mattered.
But I'm sure now they're happy that we're the tenants.
Here, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be happy.
It's just so hard to tell them we're good people. We're gonna take care of your house.
Take our word for it, right? So to sum it up, our experience was very, very challenging because we had a dog, and then as we mentioned in our last video, we got the keys to this apartment the same day that Fifi suddenly passed away, our dog passed away. So it was very, like, what would have been like a joyous occasion was a very, very sad occasion. We were in an empty apartment with no dog and almost nobody to talk to. It was a different time zone from our families, and
it just took so long that our spirits were already broken, and then at the final day of just finally getting the apartment, our hearts got broken.
Yeah, like we were in the emergency room the night before. Just randomly we had to go take her to emergency because she wasn't feeling very well, and then just right there and there she just passed away. So this is a very hard video to do, I guess, because it was very challenging, it was very frustrating, and in the end we even felt like we were questioning ourselves. Like, did we even do the right thing? Like, is this even the right thing? And we're here and we don't have a dog, and so that was just, so we're a mess. In conclusion, what helped us? Idealista, try not to put a lot of filters and maybe even expand your search. For us, maybe we could have found other apartments if we were not focusing on being close to the Rio Turia, being close to the park. That would have probably helped us, made this process faster.
When you see a listing, instead of emailing them or doing the chat, just call them if they have their phone number. Try to look for particular if you prefer talking to the actual owner instead of an agency.
And that would probably make this process faster too. If I had just looked at particulares and just focused on those, we would have probably found an apartment sooner and be approved much sooner too. But then we wouldn't be here.
If you're not happy with the listings on Idealista, you could always try the Facebook groups and post what your requirements are, but try not to post the price because that's not going to be good for the locals.
Or for you. Have a list of must-haves, but also know where you can compromise and know where you couldn't. For example, the 2 bathrooms was the only compromise. Oh, the only must-have, right? And having...
We were supposed to have a terrace, but they're saying that it's impossible to have 2 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms, and a terrace in the city. It's very rare unless we want to pay the premium price.
Yeah, so we settled for a balcony.
Which is okay.
Which is fine, too. Yeah. Like, I wanted an attico, but because they said, it's better to not have somebody above you. But we're not in an attico. It's fine.
And the people upstairs, they're perfect.
They're cool. Like really get to know the neighborhood that you're gonna be living in. Go there at night. Go there during the daytime. Find out how to get there with like the buses, the main streets. If there's a park nearby, right?
I'd probably consider the proximity to the train station, proximity to the center, the city center, to the grocery stores like Mercadona or Consum or a Mercat. There's multiple Mercats here in Valencia. And to the bus line, how close it is to the bus lines, I would probably consider those two.
Right. Like for us, we're very close to the city center. So a lot of things that are happening around us. Our street is one of the main streets for the Fallas Festival. So those are things that I think are perks. So we were able to pick up our residency cards by walking there. We were able to get our padron or register with City Hall by walking there. If you want to see the mascletas or the firecrackers, we just walk there. A lot of the things that we can do, like if we need to go to the train station, we just walk there.
Some people, they want to live farther away from the city, which is great too. There's a lot of bus lines and there's a lot of train stations anyway. But
And
yeah,
the
just
rent would be
consider.
cheaper there too if you're outside of the city, the main city.
And the last point is if you're lucky enough to find a particular, which means the landlord, you're talking to the actual homeowner, that's good because
Way better.
you get to at least like develop a relationship with the owner.
As opposed to if it's through an agent, mostly you're communicating with the agent, which we're not complaining. We love our agent. He has been very good to us. We still keep in contact if we have questions because he's our only lifeline here. So the building has an administrator. So if we have any problems, we call them and they've been very helpful too.
So that's our video about our journey experience in looking for apartments. Hopefully this is clear enough for you, or it provides you a little bit of information to help you look for your own apartment. If you have any questions or if you have any more suggestions, we'd love it if you put it in the description in the comments below, and we'll have all the links in the description for you for everything that we used and all of the websites that we used too.
And also like our experience is not, it's not the only experience out there. We have friends where they said they just looked at 5. They only were given a list of 5 apartments and then they looked at 2 and then they picked one. Easy peasy. And they arrived after us from the US and they actually moved in first. I guess like for us, we really tried to do this ourselves and we didn't hire anybody to look for apartments for us. We didn't hire a relocation service. So maybe that's why it took a little longer. But
it's something that is worthy of a YouTube video, that's for sure.
It's probably like the longest like talking ever. I mean, he's probably gonna cut this down, but there's a lot that we talked about.
But make sure to set your expectations because not everyone's experience is the same. So set your expectations. Be prepared to be prepared.
So this is the challenging experience. Not everybody will have this experience. I'm hoping not everybody does.
So I hopefully this I can edit this video into a very
10 minutes.
a very digestible video, and we'll see you in the next video.